Welcome back. We continue our coverage of day 6 of the conflict that's brewing in the Middle East. Let's turn our attention right now to a lot of domestic politics also playing out over what's been happening in the Middle East. The leader of the opposition in the Lok Sabha, Rahul Gandhi, has now raised concerns over the escalating tensions in the region, saying that the world has entered a volatile phase with difficult times ahead. In a post on the social media platform X, Rahul Gandhi has warned that India's energy security could be at risk, also acknowledging that more than 40% of our oil imports pass through the Straits of Hormuz. Let's in fact take you through the social media message that Rahul Gandhi has put out on the platform X. He says the world has entered a volatile phase. Stormy seas lie ahead. India's oil supplies are under threat, with more than 40% of our imports transiting the Straits of Hormuz. The situation is even worse for LPG and LNG. The conflict has reached our backyard, with an Iranian warship sunk in the Indian Ocean. Yet the Prime Minister has said nothing. At a moment like this, we need a steady hand at the wheel. Instead, India has a compromised PM who has surrendered our strategic autonomy. He's essentially now questioning what he describes as a silence on the part of the central government over the sinking of an Iranian ship by an American torpedo in the Indian Ocean. Let me go across to my colleague Pragya now for more on this. Pragya, strong reactions now coming from the Congress. It's not just Rahul Gandhi, Jairam Ramesh among others have also reacted. In fact, they've been doing so since yesterday over the targeting of an Iranian vessel in the Indian Ocean, very close to the coast of Sri Lanka. They've questioned the central government's silence on the matter, including the Prime Minister not saying anything yet. What do you make of the kind of reactions now coming on the part of the opposition, and what can we expect the government to say?
Siddharth, there is a lot of emphasis from opposition and a lot of pressure from opposition, I would say, on the government to speak on this particular issue. Prime Minister has made it very clear that India will be standing with Israel no matter what, today and tomorrow as well. This is the statement that Prime Minister gave in Israel, and in fact this is a very calibrated approach by Indian government not to get into all of this. In fact, just now, even if you say that the war has landed in the Indian waters near the neighboring country, but India is cautiously monitoring the situation and cautiously also monitoring the response by various countries. India has not become a party to it, and India has decided that the interest of Indians is first and foremost, and India will not get into it unless until that there is some kind of situation where our land is attacked, which is not the case. And in fact, we are not allowing any of the countries, be it Iran or be it Israel, US, to interfere in our sovereignty. So, that much is very clear on part of the government, that we do not want to become a party to it. And in fact, when we asked the Defense Minister Rajnath Singh about this yesterday, he said that government speak at the appropriate time. Whenever the time is right, government will speak on it. It is not that they do not want to, speak on it, but there are diplomatic relations also. There are many interests of India in various countries, and India do not want to become a party to any of it. There is economic, issues. There are also diplomatic issues. There is Indian diaspora, the safety and security of those. We've always wanted to take out our people, the stranded in various countries. We also ensure the secure and safe passage to them within the country. So all of that has been at the back of the mind of the government, and government is working on it in back channel talks as well. So opposition needs to understand this is a very evolving diplomatic situation, and right. India does not need to be party to it at all, and this is the stand of the government of India. But apart from that, Rahul Gandhi has spoken about the energy needs and also the scarcity of it because of Strait of Hormuz. But government has said that we are reasonably comfortable. We already had 50 days of the stockpile and holdings, 25 days of crude and 25 days of product. Correct. So they are also watching the situation very closely, and they will also let people of India know that nothing, no burden will come on that.
All right, the Congress has kept up its attack. Stay with us, Pragya, because Pawan Khera has also echoed the same criticism that Rahul Gandhi has now levelled against the central government. Pawan Khera has said that the strike on that Iranian vessel in the Indian Ocean shows that distant powers can act freely, and the United States would not dare to do this with a country like China. He added that India has effectively now become a walkover for American and Israeli interests. He's also accused foreign powers of acting under India's nose without facing any pushback. Pawan Khera also described the situation as a war at India's doorstep and called the Prime Minister's silence on the matter so far as anti-national. Those are the Congress's words. Serious criticism now being levelled against the ruling dispensation here in India, now that the war has pretty much reached India's own neighbourhood. After all, this was a vessel that was sunk by an American torpedo, and this particular vessel had also been a guest of the Indian Navy itself, participating in naval exercises here in India. Let's in fact take you through what Pawan Khera has now said. He says Narendra Modi's Mahasagar vision casts India as the Indian Ocean's preferred security partner capable of shaping stability in the region. Turns out, like much else, he proclaims is bunkum. A US strike in our maritime backyard shows that a distant power can use lethal force here without consequence, a liberty it would never dare take with China in the South China Sea. That alone tells us that India has become a walkover for America and Israel. They can do what they want right under our nose and get away without a squeak from us. Yesterday's attack targeted Iran, but has also slighted and undermined India. The war is literally at our doorstep, and Modi's silence is anti-national. So the Congress clearly not backing down over what's been happening in our very own neighborhood. Let's listen in as well to what Pawan Khera said.
No other government, whether BJP, Congress, Third Front, no other government would have allowed what has happened under Mr. Modi's watch. Now, will the Prime Minister of India apologize to Iran? Will he support, will he help the Sri Lankan Navy in rescue operations? Or will he again wait and seek permission from Tel Aviv and from Washington? Because the way our Prime Minister is behaving, our foreign policy, our strategic interests, our geopolitical interests are all completely surrendered to the whims and fancies or to whatever suits Tel Aviv and Washington.
Now, big news in an exclusive conversation with Times Now. The Union Defence Minister, Mr. Rajnath Singh, has urged all political parties to not politicize the ongoing situation. He's also emphasized that India believes in peace and stressed that it must be maintained, signalling the government's focus on stability amid rising tensions in the region. Let's listen into what he said.
सर, होली पर आपको क्या मैसेज देना है पूरे विश्व में, जहां एक तरफ वॉर चल रही है और भारत एक न्यूट्रल स्टैंड बनाए हुए है?
पूरे विश्व में शांति स्थापित हो, लोग अमन चैन के साथ रहें, यही होली के पावन पर्व पर मेरी सबको बहुत बहुत शुभकामनाएं।
भारत अपना रोल भी अदा कर रहा है, जिस तरीके से सारे देशों से बात करी और अपने इंडियंस को बाहर निकाला है, हमने सुरक्षा हमने इंश्योर करी है। क्या कहेंगे, क्योंकि विपक्ष इस पर राजनीति तो कर रहा है?
नहीं, किसी को मैं समझता हूँ ऐसी स्थिति में राजनीति नहीं करनी चाहिए। सभी को यही कामना करनी चाहिए कि भारत में भी और सारे विश्व में अमन चैन की स्थिति कायम हो, शांति स्थापित हो।
Well, let me go back once again to Pragya. Pragya, that was you speaking to the Union Defence Minister. He's urged political parties in India to not politicize the situation, saying that what's happening there is not fodder for politics to play out here in India. But the Congress party remains adamant, because it's not just Rahul Gandhi, it's all of his colleagues within the party who have now decided to question the government over what they describe as silence on the government's part over the war reaching our doorstep.
Absolutely, Siddharth, and there are a lot of repercussions if India sides with one of the countries, and if India stands and take a stand. In fact, the stand that India has taken, Indian government has taken, is that they have spoken to almost 7-8 countries involved in this particular war, and they have said that they would want peace and stability in the region. That is the stand of India, and everyone can understand that. If we take any stand, it also makes us a party, and there are many repercussions of it. Economic repercussions, diplomatic repercussions, and India would not want to jeopardize any of that. The exercise that it did for many years in the past, developing these Gulf countries and in fact Middle East, making them friends and partners in development, or politics of development, what Prime Minister says. So, India would never take a stand here in that particular matter, is what we have understand, because Prime Minister also says that more than words, action matters. What we want is the interest of the country, interest of the Indians, and safeguarding safeguarding their lives and their properties in various countries. Indian diaspora is one of the biggest chunk in many countries, and Prime Minister, whenever visits foreign country, this diaspora has a connect with Prime Minister. They also voice their opinions and their concerns to Prime Minister, which is then addressed in the relationship. So we have to look at our Indians' interest. If Congress keeps on, pressurizing the government says that we are not going to buckle down under this pressure, because important for us, the importance is India, importance is the people and also the economic interest of the country, and not answering or replying to any provocation made by Congress, because BJP is also countering Congress with many facts starting from Nehru era as to who compromised the sovereignty of the country, starting from partition to giving land to China.
Absolutely, Pragya, and that very much is the BJP's right to respond in a manner that it deems fit to the Congress. And the Congress would argue, Pragya, that they are being a responsible opposition by questioning the government of the day over what they describe as silence in this matter. What complicates the issue here for India is, Pragya, the fact that this particular vessel that's been targeted by the Americans in the Indian Ocean was in fact a guest of India at a naval exercise in Visakhapatnam. It was on its way back to Iran, and while it of course had crossed Indian waters, entered Sri Lankan waters and was in international waters at the time that it was struck, what the Congress now appears to be asking is that a vessel that was once a guest of India has been targeted, people have died, so the least the government can do is voice some kind of a response to what has transpired in our very neighborhood. We'll of course have to wait and see as to what the MOD as well as the MEA now has to say over this turn of events, which has happened very close and very much in proximity to where India is. So that response, Pragya, is very much awaited. Will there be any kind of an official statement coming through?
Well, it looks like there is a very calculated decision by the government of India not to speak on any of the evolving and developing situations, Siddharth. It is a war that is expanding very fast. And, it is the war becomes very uncertain at times like this. And in fact, when Iran has taken a stand that it will fight back all these countries and also attacking other countries and US bases in other countries. So it is, we do not... we are not commanding Iran anything, and we are not commanding anything in Israel and America also. So we need to see whether we can put out a statement. We need to see whether we can reach out. Back channel talks.
Yeah, it's going to be a very carefully calibrated decision that will be taken by the government as well. It cannot keep reacting to everything that the opposition wants it to. We'll have to wait and see as to how the government eventually responds. Thanks a lot for that, Pragya. Now, my colleague Pranesh Kumar Roy did interview a very prominent member of the Iranian diaspora as well, Elnaz Nuruzi, who of course has welcomed what's been happening in Iran since America as well as Israel took the initiative to launch airstrikes there, including targeting Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. Let's listen into that conversation.
Iranian women, not just in Tehran but across the world, have been celebrating is that they think that this is their moment of freedom. Would you shed some light on the tyrant that he was of his brutal ways?
Hi, thank you for having me. Yes, I can. And I think the main reason why people in India or anybody who supports him or wants to send condolences to Iran that actually nobody in Iran really wants to hear is because probably these people are very, very uninformed about what kind of a person he was. They just look at him as this religious leader, and because he shares the same religion, they imagine and they think that because of that, he was a good human being. But I always say, especially because he was a Muslim, all other Muslims right now should come together and condemn the things that he has done to the people of Iran and to the people of many, many other countries. All of the proxies that he had, Hezbollah, Hamas, Houthis, they were all funded by the Islamic Republic of Iran, which were taking directly orders from the supreme leader, who was Ali Khamenei. So as sorry as I am for the people who are mourning his death, they just do not know who he was. They have never lived under his leadership. They have never lived in a country that he was leading and oppressing, where he killed multiple thousands of people, thousands of Iranian people, where child marriage is allowed. In Iran, you're allowed to marry a 9-year-old girl. In Iran, we have had many protesters, female protesters, who were taken away, and if they were virgins, they were raped first and then executed, because virgins do not get into heaven. So they would rape them first and then they would kill them. These are a few things that I am mentioning right now. If I were to sit here and mention all of the atrocities that have happened under his leadership, it would take us hours. But what I want to do is to make sure that we let the world know. I understand that people didn't know anything about what he was doing because they did an extremely amazing job with secluding Iran and Iranians from the world. Our voices were never heard. The Iranians have been screaming out loud for 47 years, but nobody really paid any attention to them. The reason why there is attention being paid to this matter now is because America and Israel have come in. Otherwise, on January 8th and 9th, there were more than 50,000 protesters who died because of the regime forces. The IRGC and the Basij were shooting straight at peaceful protesters. This is not the first time the Iranian people are saying we do not want this leadership. This is not the first time people are protesting, and this is not the first time that people are dying. In 2022, I'm sure you all remember Mahsa Amini, who died in the custody of the morality police. The Iranians were outraged again, saying we do not want this regime, we do not want this oppression, we do not want this dictatorship, we do not want to fund terrorists with our tax monies and with our oil monies. We do not want to be the country that creates so much unrest in the Middle East. But nobody is listening to the Iranians. Right. Nobody knows what really is going on.
And we know after Mahsa Amini's death, people who came out in protest on the streets, even they were roughed up, assaulted, put behind bars.
We'll take a short break right now. We'll continue our coverage on the other side.